Welcome back to Destructoid's video channel. Rise of the Tomb Raider will be releasing soon on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Let's talk about the history of Lara Croft and how the Tomb Raider franchise has changed over the years. The first Tomb Raider was released in 1996 by Core Design, but work on the game started in 1993. Lara Croft was originally known as Laura Cruz, but as her character took shape, one of the creators, Toby Gard, was interested in reflecting her English nationality. Thus, Lara Croft was born, but as a military-esque, cold-blooded professional, with Gard stating that her designation as a female Indiana Jones type of adventurer was never considered in the beginning. This changed later, and Lara's character became more akin to a refined Englishwoman with a thirst for adventure. Tomb Raider released on the Sega Saturn, PC, and PlayStation 1, selling 7.5 million copies. Tomb Raider 2 saw Toby Gard depart from Core Design, with designer Stuart Atkinson taking over. Lara was then given a makeover of sorts. Her features were smoothened out, and her now iconic turquoise tank top khaki shorts combo was supplemented by other outfits that could be used throughout the game. The sequel released in 1997, and Eidos signed a deal with Sony to exclusively release Tomb Raider games on the PlayStation 1 console.
Don't you think you've seen enough?
This helped make the franchise synonymous with PlayStation in its early days and provided a strong source of revenue for Sony in the console's early going. Tomb Raider 2 ended up selling 8 million units worldwide. By the time Tomb Raider 3 released in 1998, the series had earned a reputation for its challenging and often frustrating exploration-based gameplay. Though it was praised by critics, there was the general feeling that many of its issues and overall mechanics had not changed since the original game's release. The series also seemed to be leaning away from the actual tomb raiding part that made it so famous. Sound familiar? Nonetheless, it sold 6.5 million copies worldwide. With Tomb Raider: The Last Revelations released in 1999, Core Design decided to cap off the series in the biggest way possible, with Lara Croft's death.
I can pull you to safety.
Good to see you again, Lara.
I couldn't leave you!
If you've ever read a comic featuring the death of a superhero, you know where this is going. The fourth game was acclaimed for exemplifying what made the series so great and so frustrating at the same time, and thus served as a strong send-off for the character. The Last Revelation eventually sold 5 million copies worldwide and seemed to be the end. That was until Tomb Raider Chronicles. Less of a sequel and more of a collection of stories and scenarios, it only sold 1.5 million copies worldwide. Though some critics enjoyed the gameplay, the overall response was mixed and Tomb Raider was seen as behind the times. Many lambasted the mix of influences and lazy storytelling overall, which would eventually end with hints of Lara Croft being alive. Surprise! This set the stage for the series' first major reboot, Tomb Raider: Angel of Darkness. Oh boy. Angel of Darkness offered a heavier emphasis on action, aiming to revitalize the Tomb Raider franchise, which had been lagging behind so many other AAA games at the time. Core Design also went with the darker tone and borrowed ideas from games like Metal Gear. Though it released 3 years after Tomb Raider Chronicles, Angel of Darkness was fraught with bugs and control issues. According to the developer, several narrative elements had been removed from the game in order to ensure its release in time for the heavily panned film Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life. Angel of Darkness was reportedly sent to Sony for certification 8 times before its release, and despite selling 2.5 million copies, a planned trilogy was scrapped and Crystal Dynamics took up development. In 2006, Tomb Raider Legend released, and it seemed Crystal Dynamics had discovered a way to modernize many of the first game's mechanics while still retaining much of its spirit. It felt like an eternity since a critically successful Tomb Raider title had released, but Lara Croft was finally back to raiding tombs and embarking on high-stakes adventures. Tomb Raider Anniversary, released in 2007, was meant as a tie-in between Legend and Underworld while acting as a remake of the first game. Whether it was the overall idea of it being a remake or its mechanics which didn't really improve on Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary only sold 1.3 million copies worldwide and is the least successful game in the series. That kinda sucks, it was one of my favorites. Tomb Raider Underworld eventually followed in 2008. At this point, Tomb Raider appeared to be falling into the same traps as before with its gameplay, combat, and issues with the camera. Despite some new additions overall, strong visuals, and a less linear approach to exploration, Underworld seemed to be just another title in the series. It also served as the end of that trilogy, and sold 2.6 million copies worldwide across various formats. In 2009, Square Enix reached a deal to purchase Eidos Interactive for £84.3 million, resulting in franchises like Tomb Raider, Hitman, and Deus Ex being under the purview of the Japan-based publisher. Lara Croft would still see some brief action in the well-received spin-off Guardian of Light, but something bigger was on the way. In December 2010, details of the new Tomb Raider finally came to light. Eventually releasing in 2013, the game would serve as a significant reboot that also told the origins of Lara Croft and her journey to becoming a Tomb Raider. Though controversies of alleged sexual assault dogged the game initially, Tomb Raider was a massive success on release. The gameplay benefited from a revamped combat system that put the title more in line with recent third-person shooters and introduced a mechanic wherein Lara would automatically take cover behind objects close to her. Though puzzles were rare, Tomb Raider brought back the platforming mechanics that defined the series, but incorporated elements of stealth, crafting, and survival seamlessly. Rise of the Tomb Raider is the next big title in the franchise. Releasing on November 10th, it will be available first for Xbox One and Xbox 360 as part of a timed exclusivity agreement with Microsoft. It will release on Windows 10 in early 2016 and on PS4 during the holidays in 2016. Rise of the Tomb Raider will be Lara Croft's biggest adventure yet. Clocking in at 15 to 20 hours for the average player, Crystal Dynamics promises 30 to 40 hours of gameplay for completionists. Revamped stealth mechanics, new environments, beautiful visuals, and an altogether new outlook for Lara, which surprisingly mirrors the military-style professional she was first envisioned as, make up the release, and we're excited to try it out. Lara Croft has been an integral gaming icon for nearly 2 decades. Though often seen as a sex symbol for gamers, her influence on the industry and today's games are among the most significant in gaming history. Come November, we'll find out whether or not Lara Croft can further cement her legacy in the current generation of consoles with Rise of the Tomb Raider.